And I have a special message from Nathaniel Bohm. He is the LGBTQ Services Coordinator for the Oregon VA. And he says that for every LGBTQ veteran who is here today, you have the unwavering support of the Oregon Department of Veteran Affairs. And then he wanted me to read his cell phone number, but instead I'll just invite you, if you don't have Nathaniel's cell phone number, to come to me and I will give it to you, because he wants to make sure every LGBTQ vet in our state has it, because that's how much he cares and that's how much he supports you. So, and another person who's given us unwavering support is Senator Jeff Merkley. And we have a special message from him who will be read by his awesome representative here who's here today, Dan Marr. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you, Nancy. The Senator wishes he could be here with all of us today and sends his love and this message that he dropped.
Closer.
Sure. Thank you all for coming out today. A few weeks ago, I stood with many of you across the street, rallying support of our transgender service members and veterans. Shannon Scott, a transgender Air Force veteran who served for 12 years, told us how she was forced out of the military once she decided, sitting on a plane among fallen soldiers, to be true to herself. Without that bigotry, the United States would have one more highly trained and decorated service member courageously and selflessly serving her country. Now, President Trump has taken us backward to that time when discrimination excluded certain Americans from serving their country simply because of who they are. Since that shameful time in our history, the military has become the largest employer of transgender Americans, with as many as 11,000 men and women in uniform identifying as transgender. Trump's order is a disgraceful, bigoted attack on transgender Americans who are honorably serving our nation. Claiming his prejudice is for the safety of our nation is a repulsive falsehood. Discrimination doesn't make America safer, period. At our rally, Colleen Yeager, the mother of a transgender son, who you'll be hearing from in just a moment, said she most fears her son growing up to a future where he doesn't have every opportunity afforded to him because of the discrimination Trump is perpetuating. Under Trump's order, 7-year-old Eli can't dream of being an Air Force pilot. That discrimination has no place in the United States of America. We must return to gratefully accepting the contributions of all patriots who want to serve our nation. Please know that Oregonians stand with our service members, all of our service members. I will do everything I can to fight this order and make our transgender service members and veterans, families, friends, and neighbors feel safe and welcome in their state and in their nation. Thank you.
Up next, we have a message from Colleen Yeager, who Matt just mentioned.
Alright. Can you guys hear me?
No. Right up to your mouth.
Right up to your mouth. Can you hear me now?
Keep it close.
Louder? Okay. There we go. Sorry, clearly this is my first time using one of these things. So just thank you.
Hold it up right up there.
Just over a month ago, the day after Donald Trump tweeted his desire to exclude transgender people from the military.
Woo, yeah.
My husband and my beautiful 7-year-old son, Eli, were driving along, news radio playing in the background. The speaker mentioned transgender people in his report, catching Eli's attention. Delighted, he innocently exclaimed, "Dad, they're talking about me." You see, Eli doesn't know that he's under attack by this administration, because we have always loved him and his immediate community has embraced him. He doesn't yet know that not everyone accepts him, that he is a political lightning rod. As an almost second grader, he's focused on being a kid, pretending to be a ninja, learning to swim, and arguing with his big sister about a fair split of the remaining ice cream. This hasn't always been the case. Between the ages of 3 and 5.5, Eli was angry and violent and distraught. He outwardly expressed hatred for himself, and my husband and I felt desperately unequipped to help him. It took some time observing, listening, and working with mental health professionals to determine where this unimaginable stress came from. But once it was clear and Eli was free to be who he knew he was, everything changed. We finally got to a place of relative peace, and in marches the Trump administration, hell-bent on conveying to my son that he is somehow less than. Now, Eli knows that Trump thinks he should be forced to use the girls' bathroom. He doesn't know, however, that the Trump administration is working daily to ensure that his other most basic rights are undermined too. He doesn't know that because he wasn't born fitting their narrow view of what is valid and acceptable, that he is now, thanks to this awful executive order signed Friday, officially deemed unworthy by his very own government to serve his country. These hateful, misguided actions serve only to fuel a climate of hate and violence aimed at an already vulnerable child. Eli deserves better. My son didn't choose his gender or his body any more than you or I did. He's just a child, worthy of being treated with dignity and respect, and to be loved for who he is, and to be given the chance to serve his community and country if he so chooses. As his mother, my nightmare is the day that he figures out that he is under assault because of something that is completely outside of his control. I and my fellow fierce parents and family members of transgender youth, many of you are here, fight every day to ensure that our transgender children and grandchildren and siblings and community have the same rights and freedoms as every other American. And we will not stop until every single citizen knows their worth. Thank you. With this kind of enthusiasm, I know in my heart of hearts that we will win. Thank you.
Next up is Nikki from Basic Rights Oregon. She's going to give us a message. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a message from Sasha Booker. Sasha is a lawyer and she's a veteran. She was a Marine sniper. She used to work at Basic Rights Oregon. Then she went to San Francisco to work at the Transgender Law Center. And just a few weeks before this hateful ban, she started at Lambda Legal, which is just where we need her because she's helping to bring the case to overturn this ban. Sasha couldn't be here because she's in Washington, D.C., but she sent this message for us to read. This ban is disrespectful and dishonorable to the thousands of transgender men and women who are boldly and bravely serving our country. It deprives our armed forces of those wanting to serve at a time when the military is already facing threats on multiple fronts. It is also disrespectful to the leadership at the Department of Defense, who work to develop and implement the current policy, which has been operating successfully for more than a year. Transgender service members and veterans have fought like hell for our country in the past, and in response to this shameful ban, we will continue to fight like hell to defend our freedom to live and work free from discrimination for who we are or who we love. See you in court, Mr. President.
Yeah.
You're gonna win. Please welcome Matt DeSantis, the legal director of the ACLU of Oregon. Thank you.
you. My name is Matt Dos Santos, and I am the legal director of the ACLU of Oregon. Thank you, Basic Rights Oregon, for organizing this today, and thank you all for coming here to stand with transgender service members and veterans. Today, I'm especially grateful to Lyles and Oni and all the other transgender service members and veterans here in Oregon and across our country. Thank you for your service and for your courage, both in and out of uniform. We owe our freedoms to you, and you deserve better than this. Yes. Friday was a particularly painful day in this never-ending string of bad days since President Trump took office. President Trump's pardon of Joe Arpaio and his memo banning transgender service members and veterans from serving and accessing health care share a common thread. President Trump has no respect for our courts, and he has no respect for us. While we at the ACLU cannot teach President Trump civility or respect, we can and will continue to teach him about the Constitution. Tomorrow, we will also be filing a lawsuit in federal district court challenging President Trump's cruel, discriminatory, and unconstitutional policy. Like so many of his other failed attempts to discriminate, this policy isn't just bad, it's deadly. Denying transgender service members medically necessary health care puts their lives at risk. Banning their service after so many courageously came out over the last few years is divisive and hurts our military. This isn't right, and it isn't legal. We've said it before and we'll say it again. President Trump, when you come for the most vulnerable communities, the ACLU will come for you. See you in court.
I now have the honor of handing this mic over to Chase, who is our Trans Justice Coordinator here at Basic Rights Oregon. Thank you so much again for coming, and Chase will close us out.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Chase. I use the pronouns they, them, and theirs. I am the transgender justice trainer and organizer at Basic Rights Oregon, and I was born on a U.S. military base. Both of my parents served and met and fell in love and got married in the United States Navy. They were following in the footsteps of their fathers, both of my grandfathers who served in the Navy and in the Army. And when my brother was old enough, he enlisted in the Navy as well. I learned a lot from growing up in a military family. And the most important thing I learned was how to stand up for what I believe in and how to be resilient. And as I came out as a transgender person and as I joined my transgender community, I am so honored to be a part of a community that will always fight for what's right. In my work, I have the incredible pleasure of getting to know so many allies who care about transgender people. 3 weeks ago, my co-organizer and I drove down the Oregon coast where we gave 3 trainings on transgender equality, and we packed the room in all 3 cities. We filled the rooms with Oregonians who care, Oregonians who believe that it is right and just for transgender people to live their truth. This Tuesday, we are going to have 150 Portlanders coming to a training on transgender equality in Northeast Portland. And next month, Basic Rights Oregon is launching a program called Catalyst. Catalyst, something that speeds up change. Catalyst is the name of a cohort dedicated to building transgender leaders in our state. This is the work that we're doing. This is powerful and important work, and we cannot do it without our allies. We cannot do it without the support of our loved ones. We are so grateful that you are all here. We are grateful that you are here helping us transform Oregon. We are going to send a message that this state and this country will always stand up for our transgender communities. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to everyone who spoke this afternoon. We also want to recognize Diane Rosenbaum, our Attorney General, who is here today. Thank you so much.
Ellen Rosenblum.
Hey, I just heard this was happening, and I pressed the button. I haven't learned how to do these things.
There we go. Okay, hey, I just heard yesterday that you were going to be here at the City Hall, and I just said I have to be here with you to just tell you how revolted I am by our president. I didn't think he could quite stoop to this level, because this community knows not only do we love each other and love everyone and stand up for transgender equality, but our veterans, our service people deserve better from our president. And so please understand that in my office and in this state, as far as I'm concerned as your chief law officer, there is zero tolerance for hate, and I consider this part of the hatred that is spreading throughout this country because of that man in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you everyone for being here today.
Yeah.